What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Comic Book Nation, the only show that does it all for geek culture and the official podcast show of comicbook.com. I am your host, Kofi Outlaw. I'm with my co-host over here, Matthew Aguilar, in the studio. We have our girl, Janelle Wheeler, with us here, but she's backstage hanging out because we're trying to get these streams, these live streams you guys are watching together. And so we have new tactics to kind of get over our technical hurdles. But Janelle is our secret weapon this week, and she's waiting in the wings to make her grand debut. But first, we have some guests this week. Once again, Matt. And Matt, this was another one of your great connection gets, so please do a proper introduction for us.
Absolutely. Well, today we're going to talk about Alliance's Orphans, a brand new graphic novel from Dynamite. And we're going to talk about it with Ryan Silber and Luke Lieberman. How are you guys?
Hello.
Hey there.
Hey, how are you?
What's up?
Thank you so much for joining the show. I appreciate it.
Well, we're happy to be here.
Thanks for having us.
Well, so excited to talk about Alliances because this universe is, something you guys got to develop and create with the, iconic creators, Stan Lee. So just kind of taking a step back just a little, what was it like, developing, not even just working on a particular one issue or working on one character with Lee, but creating a world, creating a universe with you. How was that process?
So I've known Stan, I knew Stan going back to about the year 2000. He gave me my first job after film school. And I met him while I was in film school, and we just sort of kept in touch. And I would, after I left his employ to relaunch this character, actually, to relaunch Red Sonja, I would just sort of call in to his assistant and find out windows when he'd be, where I could just kind of knock on his door and hang out a little bit, because, we maintained a friendship. And we got to a point where we were having a conversation about something, and it became a kind of creative conversation, and we started coming up with an idea. And I realized when I was walking out the door that this was something Stan was actually willing to work on with me. So when I saw that door crack open, I just kind of leaned into it. And then, the next time I saw him, I had all kinds of stuff developed along the lines of what we were talking about. And that would be kind of the way of it. We'd get in a conversation. He'd tell me what he liked. He'd come up with a few more ideas. I'd go off and expand on them. And then it got to the point where I realized that, because Stan's time was at a premium, that I needed someone to help me workshop stuff in between meetings with Stan. And that's when I asked Ryan if he wanted to join the team, the bullpen. And obviously he said yes. And then that would be kind of the way of it. And the thing of it is, obviously at that point we were working with the most experienced storyteller in the world at that point.
No pressure.
Well, you got to, as Ryan learned, you have to have a very thick skin, because Stan, he doesn't have patience for your feelings. Like if he doesn't like something, he'll just tear it out. Like you could have worked on it for a week, it doesn't matter. He was very straightforward, very always going right to the heart of the matter, always kind of cutting through the artifice to the heart of the story. And when we were developing this, it was just kind of pure world building exercise, because we weren't trying to, develop a TV pitch or develop a feature film treatment or comic book, or, obviously when this first came out, we were just sort of Dungeons and Dragons world building for a couple of years. And then it kind of came time where it was time to start showing our hand to people and making some actual product out of it. And that's when Audible came along, and this is, I guess, 2017 when Audible got involved. And they got involved, and that was sort of a cool idea for Stan. It felt fresh to him, just because he hadn't done, an audiobook really. And so anything that got Stan excited obviously got the rest of us excited. And that's kind of how the first book in this series, The Trick of Light, came out in 2019. And then we did a follow-up book that Will Wheaton read for us in 2020 or 2021. And actually, I don't remember what year it came out. and now we have Orphans, which is the third in the series. And the opening prologue in Orphans, which is the book that we're here to talk about, that Bill Sienkiewicz did the art for, that prologue was the kind of the first thing that we created with Stan. That was kind of the kernel of the universe. I don't know if you guys had a chance to read it, but that was the kernel of the universe, the idea of the inventor being taken slave by this sort of dominant alien species, and then wiping out the rest of his planet, keeping him alive and forcing him to make their weapons, and then obviously he turns his greatest weapon against them. That was kind of that first conversation.
Ryan, did you want to add to that? Because I mean, that's such an interesting thing that like the third book actually has the first thing that you wrote. That's so interesting to me.
Yeah, listen, like Luke said, it's like Dungeons and Dragons, and I grew up, on comics as did Luke, and it was, but one of the things I loved playing was those TSR Marvel Dungeons and Dragons games, and this was like an opportunity in real time to like work with Stan as like, pull all of the interests that he had and all the kind of skill sets that he had, which is like editor, writer, storyteller, creator of characters. Like, you got all of it in one mix, and it was kind of a really fun, kind of like surprising way of working, because it was like not a rush to market on anything. But yeah, I mean, for the graphic novel, the intention was always to to launch these characters in a way when we would create them visually, it had to be done in a really stunning way. And Bill coming on, having never worked on a book that Stan had either edited or written, was something that, we were really fortunate to have. And then Sleeman coming on for the bulk, he really brought such heart to the characters. I hope readers, appreciate that, because the choice in artists is always from the inception, if you ever went to comics, looking for somebody like a Bill and a Sleeman.
Absolutely. And, I'm a sucker for team building. I'm a sucker for like ragtag groups of heroes and stuff. And you've got a really cool collection of characters here. I'm not going to say that Critter, who is the dog-like creature, is not my favorite, because I'm a sucker for animals of any group that has an animal.
He's the pet monster. He's the pet monster.
It's so good, man. I know. But what can you tell us for fans kind of coming in here? Well, I guess two questions. One, what can you tell us about the group of characters and the team itself? Just a little tease. But also, you mentioned the previous two. Do people who haven't read those need to, like, would it be better to jump into those first? Can they jump into this and just move forward? Like, what's the best way?
We wanted this. I mean, part of the reason, for instance, that the prologue to this graphic novel was the first story we created with Stan, was because it becomes a really easy jumping on point. And this is we were bringing the universe into a new medium, into comics. Previously, it had been an audiobook. So we wanted Orphans Alliance to be a jumping on point. We wanted it to be a spot where people didn't need to have a PhD in the prior work in order to understand what was happening. Right. I mean, there are ties and connections, and those who are familiar with the previous work will understand and appreciate them, we hope. I mean, there's like Easter eggs and whatnot, but you don't need to. In terms of the team, the reason they're called Orphans is because the Hive, when they would wipe out a planet, they would keep one member of the species alive as a kind of, for experiments and to sort of study them. And so the Orphans are each the last of their kind. They're each lone survivors. There's no one else like them. Everyone that they ever knew has been wiped out. And so they have to kind of form a family with each other. But the fact that they were the ones selected to survive means that there's something kind of special about each of them. They were sort of selected because they're an extraordinary member of their species. So you have these sort of extraordinary, I don't want to call them people. You have these sort of extraordinary aliens that are each orphaned, having to kind of come together and form a family. Right?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, like we love old sci-fi serials, and this is one of the things that we were really looking at, is like those journey into mystery stories that predated the Marvel era. And we wanted it to feel like an old school sci-fi serial. So these characters are sort of like modeled in a way after that kind of style. But then, the other side of it is, like you said, like team building is so fun. So getting to put together kind of this mishmash of characters is something, we love as well. So
Yeah.
Earlier, you guys touched on how when you were coming to the kind of inception of the Alliance's universe, you were kind of just thinking very focused on like where you were going to do, but have things now that the series is up, the universe is up, and you guys have been kind of expanding. Do you have bigger multimedia plans or goals for like TV, movies, web shorts, anything else that you can kind of tease us with or discuss?
Ryan, you want to take that one?
Yeah, I mean, as always, it's what we love it because Luke and I work in so many different mediums, is to really honor the medium we're working in. So like when we're making a comic or graphic novel in this instance, it has to feel like, you have to do what's best for that platform. And similarly for the audio medium, it was about immersion and letting fans become their own Ditkos and Kirby, which we thought was really fun. And Stan was really tickled by which is how we ended up launching as an audio serial. But certainly other mediums are ripe for discovery. And, we have a treasure trove of characters and storylines because of the way we develop this that we can pull from. But I'll say the thing that was really great about working with Stan is saying, he always started with that question, what if, a what if style question, which is, in this case, it was, what is more real, the world we're born into and one we can create for ourselves, which is like really like, amazingly, he was really looking around the corner and seeing like where our world, that where we are as a society is going. So we have a lot of characters that deal with those kinds of questions. And as things change in the digital ecosystem, because a lot of our stories are set in that, we certainly are changing with the times. And we're also listening to fans as we've started to open up the world a little bit and, responding to them and, finding ways to sort of address some of their interests and excitement. So yeah, definitely film, TV, animation.
Well, that's Ryan's way of saying we're not allowed to announce it yet. Yeah, I mean, there's a few things that we're not allowed to announce yet. But the nice thing about having all of this sort of development done over the years is that we know where the story's going. There is some level of thoughtfulness we have to put into, which stories we tell in which mediums and what makes sense where and kind of the order of events and how you're going to roll stuff out. But the development is sort of done. So at this point, it's a matter of just kind of getting a hammer and nail and building based on those blueprints.
Absolutely. Well, this just upon the material that's already out, this lends itself so well to a couple of different mediums, like you said. I would personally, a TV series seems like really cool, so I've got my fingers crossed over here. But before, I know we got to let you go, but Luke, the shirt says it all. I'm a Red Sonja fan, so there's a movie that fans are super.
Is there now? I haven't heard.
There's a Red Sonja movie there.
Yeah, I mean, I just got back from Europe on last Friday. I just got back, and I was literally, before we got on, I was watching daily from the last day of the shoot. We just wrapped. I'm like halfway through watching day 54 dailies. So this thing's wrapped. I mean, the production's wrapped, as of a couple hours ago.
Oh man, I know you can't tease anything big, but are you excited? Like, is it what you were hoping for? Yeah.
I mean, this ended up, it was a long process getting this thing made, and there were a lot of iterations that, for whatever reason, I guess I'm happy with the iteration that we landed on. I'm very happy with the actors. I'm happy. MJ, MJ, what we needed and what MJ is a true fan. Somebody who wanted to make this movie since she was young, since she was a teenager. This is a movie that she's always wanted to make. So she brought the right energy and passion and she understood it. You needed somebody who really understood the genre in our world and the community of fandom to know how to make a movie for those people. And Matilda, the thing about Matilda is that she sort of is authentically, she's got real depth. She's got real toughness. But this was a tough shoot. There were nights it was like, 45 degrees, and we were covering her in studio rain and stuff like that outside, and she was running around. And it's not like the character wears a lot of clothes, and she, no complaint. She never complained. It was a tough shoot. She never complained once, and that's what, and that's because she's got this kind of toughness, maturity. She's got some depth. She's got some soul, and it comes through in the character when she plays it. And she looks incredible, but she sort of is incredible, and that sort of just comes through. And then we got very lucky with the villain, with Robert Sheehan, who's playing Dragon, because he's just a phenomenal actor. He gives you, I don't really know which takes of his they're going to use, because he does so many different interesting things in different takes. You kind of want to use them all, but ultimately the editor and the director are going to have to sift through it all and figure out, which ones we're going to use. And I'll just rewatch the daily. But he just brings such a delicious sort of aspect to the villain, and it's something I don't think you've quite seen before. And Wallace sort of nails her Anicia, and she's also she's a big sort of physical fit woman, and so that works. But she's also got, Anicia is a character with a lot of inner demons. If you ever read Gale's comics. So, it was a fun shoot, and there was like a lot of real camaraderie, like a lot of real bonding that happened on the set. The cast and crew formed a real solid unit, and that's kind of when people are doing their best work. Everybody's having fun, even though it's a night shoot in October and freezing, but it doesn't matter. People still have smiles on their face before we start rolling. Like, that's when you're going to get good work, because everyone was really putting 110% into it.
Yeah, when everyone's happy, it's typically a good sign. It's typically a good sign. Well, I am stoked for that. Did you like my Red Sonja dance?
I did.
That was your Red Sonja. So yeah, I'm excited about that. For Alliance's Orphans, fans can actually pick that up now for the graphic novel, and of course, you can also seek out the previous books, the books themselves, or on Audible as well. Guys, thank you so much for coming to talk about this. I am super stoked. All the best success.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. That's our first guest. Now, our real big celebrity guest is here. Welcome to the studio, one, Janelle Wheeler.
I am not a celebrity. I love it. But you know what? I like feeling that way. Hi, guys. That was a beautiful interview.
I know, it's so fun.
Matt got to kind of fan out on Red Sonja stuff.
I got to dance. I got to.
And we got to hear about working for Stan Lee, and
I mean, seriously, was there a better way?
What kind of boss he was? It was good times.
Was there a better way to kick off the show with comics and Red Sonja?
All right. Well, that was our interview with the creators of the Alliance universe. You can pick out Alliance Orphans graphic novel now. Mm-hmm. Let's get back to some of the things going on in geek culture on the ground here. This week has been a big week. We got a lot to do, so let's get to it. Starting with, I forget what I put up first. What did I put up first?
Black Panther.
No, I didn't. That was not number one.
Oh,
number
sorry.
one was James Gunn.
Oh, that's right.
Yes, we're starting with DC. Our graphic says Marvel, but the heart of this at the beginning is DC. So
look at that.
We got
Let's go.
This week when it was announced that DC's latest iteration of the DC Films franchise will be under DC Studios, their new imprint name, which is being co-headed by James Gunn and his longtime producing partner, Peter Safran. So Gunn is taking over DC Studios. He's effectively becoming the Kevin Feige of DC along with Peter Safran. And people had mixed emotions to this, right? First up, people spazzed out almost immediately from the Snyder Brothers, and were posting memes of Tobey Maguire throwing the Spider-Man costume in the trash, saying they're done with DC now, and this was as if there's some war between. There's been this perceived war. Okay, so for people who don't know, kind of had two big director-creators influences, which was Zack Snyder, who did Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, and Justice League, and James Gunn, who did The Suicide Squad and its kind of TV spinoff Peacemaker. Some fans have labeled these as kind of warring factions of the Gunverse and the Snyderverse, and it's been kind of debated, like, who would be the best kind of architect to kind of take things forward. Zack Snyder or James Gunn. James Gunn got the job, so that meant some Snyder people thought, oh, it's all over for Snyder stuff and we're out of here. I wrote a piece and put myself out there that said, no, James Gunn's appointment is not the death of the Snyderverse. And my whole point is this. If there is one person who's probably the most creator-friendly collaborator to possibly convince somebody like Zack Snyder, who has dealt with unimaginable crap with Warner Brothers and their executives and just trying to get his films made and out the way he made them, if there's one person that could probably work with him and get him back in the fold to do something, it's probably James Gunn, who would take the time, another director of unique signature, who, even if he makes different films from Snyder, would be more sympathetic to what a director does and creates and could help maybe kind of find good middle ground for what Snyder does and what they need to achieve in under 4 hours as a film studio, So I don't agree with all that. I think that's kind of just specious reasoning to think that just because they picked Gunn, it means all Snyder stuff is gone. Because the Snyderverse has been winning this week. I mean, it's not like the Snyderverse is losing. We still have Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman. We still have Jason Momoa's Aquaman. Henry Cavill's coming back as Superman. Right. That's a Snyder thing. We're getting a Man of Steel sequel. Those are all things with Snyder DNA.
But that's not what. Okay, so but your initial premise, though, of
I put this. Well, don't come from my writing pieces. I am thorough writer. I am not a film talking head. I write things and I do a good job of it. And there are things, and I cover my bases. One of the questions I asked is, what does it mean to be Snyderverse? Like, what does that mean?
No, I wasn't saying that.
Okay, what are you going to say?
No, I was saying your initial premise, though, of this group wars with the Gunverse. There's a group. I don't lump every fan of Snyder things in there. There's a small group that wars with everyone. It doesn't matter that it's Gunn. Whoever would have I would have stepped into this role. And they would have literally been against me, and he's throwing it because it doesn't matter unless it's Snyder jumping in that role. They do not care. Everything else is baboo. That's what it is. So that's my issue. I don't even think it was Gunn. I think it was whoever steps into that role.
Yeah,
they see that. But what you were going to launch into is also a very good point.
Yeah. What does it mean to be Snyderverse?
Yes.
Like, if we go forward, no matter who, and this is, I don't know, guys, this is kind of what those things called comic books do. Yeah. So it doesn't matter, Gunn might take over. Even if Gunn stepped in and directed all the next Justice League and Superman stuff, he's still playing with Snyderverse DNA all throughout this, that they're not jettisoning. We don't have a new Superman. We got Cavill back. So I think we can chill on that point a little bit, because I don't think, and I said just as a final point, let's be clear, because I don't know if people's brains always register. Gunn is overseeing things.
Right.
He's not personally directing everything. So it's not going to all be the Suicide Squad. Yeah. It's going to all be the Suicide Squad. So we can relax on that. And like I said, we're even hearing this Superman Dawn of Hope thing. So it sounds like we're getting Snyderverse stuff tweaked a little bit to be more what some fans were complaining about, which is a happy medium for everybody. Janelle, I feel like you have personal knowledge of all things James Gunn. How are you feeling about this DC appointment?
I mean, I honestly, at this point, we're so desperate for someone to kind of take the Feige role at DC that anyone just needs to happen. Like, we need something. And the fact that it's James Gunn is something that I'm super pumped about. I love James Gunn content. I trust his voice. I trust his knowledge in comic books and all things related to comics. He has tons of experience working with a successful, MCU thing, and he has tons of DC experience as well. So I really don't know who else people could really hope for. I mean, if we were holding up, I know there were murmurs of The Rock taking this role as opposed to James Gunn. I would choose James Gunn 20 times over The Rock just for his simple knowledge in this nerd world. So I don't really understand anyone not loving this. I don't know what people's expectations are. I guess some people just want it to keep sucking. Like, that's what it feels like.
Wow. Putting it there. Janelle Wheeler putting it down. Do we want it to suck or not? All right.
We need something.
I get, and I agree. And I think people are also, again, like James Gunn is what overseeing means is you're the ringmaster of the tent, but the tent is full of freaks, right? So like The Rock is still could be his own capo boss in this whole thing. Like there's James Gunn, but The Rock is still working on his version, his division of DC movies. Somebody else is working on this Man of Steel thing. Somebody's doing this stuff. And like, and he's not even necessarily taking all of it. I think the initial report said that Joker is still its own kind of separate thing, not under Gunn. It's unclear, unless they've tweaked this in the last day or so, I think it's unclear whether the Batman franchise is under him or not. So it's still kind of its own thing. So they're still playing it. I think he's just going to be, as Janelle said, the guy who's going to help us get a linked universe. And he was one of the major reasons in our now chump-making segment, will DC or Marvel have the better year in 2022? One of the main things we said was, what James Gunn did with the Suicide Squad and then spinning that off into Peacemaker, a successful hit TV show that fully was like one of the most full adaptations of an actual movie kind of becoming a TV show without any downgrading or anything, was the key that we thought was going to make DC a more coherent universe. And so I think that the people at Warner Brothers probably listened to Comic Book Nation, heard all that, and took our idea and were like, that's a great idea. Let's run with that. But in all seriousness, and so I think that's his main job, right? Pull this together, make it a franchise. And I think he can do that. So.
Well, and like Janelle said, I think this dual hire, this dual role is one of those that's kind of a win-win for everybody. So I don't necessarily, even the people who don't necessarily love like James Gunn's take on things, the saffron of it all brings such a, like, one of the things we've talked about and one of the reasons why that video has not aged so well, and I feel like we should just re-record it every year. One of these years we'll get it right. So like 2023 we'll have another one. We'll just bet on one of these things will happen. But like, one of the things is mismanagement and disorganization and one hand not talking to the other, and budgets, movies having to be written off when a new organization comes in because the debt is so high. Like, those things have also played a role in the chaos. So having someone who is able to kind of deftly maneuver in those waters and saffron with someone who brings that kind of, Kevin Feige, Kevin Smith kind of enthusiasm for comics and what they can be. I mean, look, the Suicide Squad is as comic a movie as you get. The movie had Starro. Like, I love that, so if I trust someone to kind of take that, I mean, all the fan things of what do we want to see under a Gunn kind of regime at DC, like who do we want to see? Like Justice League Dark. Yes, I know I already threw out the Detective Chimp thing, and I got some support, by the way. I even got a hashtag. But I will say, like, that the humor that you can find in something like that, Gunn is willing to go to some dark places. Like, there's just so much this opens up, even if he's not directing, even if he's just overseeing. You put the right people in place, right?
Bad Coyote in the chat is saying, I wonder if they will ever release Batgirl movie. And I feel like that's a great question. I'm curious what you guys think.
Oh
no,
yeah, I don't think so.
I think that's
forever gone.
I think it's forever gone, only because
there's so much legalities. If they that out, if they do anything, they've got to pay so much money. So they've got to think like the X and the Y will never probably work.
And the WB leadership that is on its way out didn't want the Batgirl movie not to release. It was Zaslav. It's the new kind of trying to get the budgets in line and debt in line stuff of this new leadership. They aren't going anywhere, right? So this is all happening under them. So that's not changing. So unfortunately, I don't see Batgirl changing. I don't see that changing. So that sucks.
Yeah, I mean, it's just simple math. Because of the nature of the deal of the tax write-off for Batgirl, if they ever promote it, bring it out, show even like a frame for it, I think, like they automatically, that tax write-off goes away and they owe that money back. So unless they think Batgirl's going to make $1 billion, I don't see them ever dusting that off. But
what do you guys think this means for like Titans and like Doom Patrol, stuff like that? That's kind of successful.
I think that there's a lot of this that's probably going to be decided. I think Gunn is taking this job at a point where a lot of this is decided. I wrote about that too. I think The Flash is a big reset. His job is effectively going to start making stuff after The Flash. So I think anything we think about that before The Flash doesn't really matter because they already have a plan in place for that.
Yeah.
And whatever they're doing for that is going to basically kind of give us a soft reset for him to come in and then build on. So I don't know what that means for Titans or the HBO Max series. I think Titans is doing okay and get more popular. I don't know if Doom Patrol will last because it's got that Netflix thing, like, you can only binge so many seasons before you begin to run out of steam. So we'll see, but we got to take a break in a minute. But final thoughts. If you guys can each pick your dream project right now under James Gunn, give me your elevator pitch for what it is. Matt, go.
Oh, Justice League Dark, man. Yeah, I think
You have a director.
Director, yes. I would love to see that team. Constantine is on that team. You can't tell me a Gunn Constantine wouldn't absolutely rule like that.
So you want Gunn himself, Justice League Dark?
Look, if you're saying that's the pitch to like have him do it, yes.
No, I'm saying anything under that he would greenlight.
And even if he greenlit and didn't direct it, he will put the right person in place to direct that. I would love to see that.
Janelle.
I would love to, I guess this isn't like a specific project, but I would just really like to see the introduction of a Harley and Ivy live action relationship.
Ooh.
Okay.
In something.
Ooh.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, no, I mean, that's
a
good one. Yeah, Harley Quinn. I think the Harley Quinn series we can safe to say is safe.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sirens, Brywood. Yeah, that's a good
Gotham City Sirens would be a good one.
Yeah.
And then was brought up as a follow-up to Birds of Prey. We should know that Journey Smollett hasn't really letting fans' hopes die for a Black Canary. That Black Canary is going to continue. So that might fit into the plans. If
See,
you're
they're
doing
pulling a Cavill like a year from now.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, I'm back.
But that was always in the plans originally a long time ago. It was supposed to go Birds of Prey, then a Gotham City Sirens movie, and then like Birds versus Sirens movie.
Yeah, that's where Batgirl was originally going to.
And that sounded dope to me, so I'm for that.
I like that idea.
I still want my Question TV series. I would love to see Gunn,
Which one?
That's what I was thinking about. I'd like to see them both. I'd like to see it be a multi kind of, detective story where it's the Vic Sage, the end of Vic Sage. Something happened to Vic Sage. Renee Montoya's taken up the mantle and has been, is new in the role. And it's a mystery that extends over both their times as the Question, and it leads to something bigger in the DC universe.
Hell yeah.
And you use that little tiny series to flesh out like so much Batman stuff, because we need a new Batman for this in a good Batman lore. And then it leads to some big conspiracy in the DCU that
I like that
story. So boom, use something small, go in small, and kind of She-Hulk this thing. But instead of doing comedy, we do a full kind of neo noir detective story.
He directing it, or he's just getting someone?
I would like to see him directed. I know he's busy, so I'd be cool with him getting somebody.
I mean, he's supremely busy. We've given him 3 movies.
Maybe Terrence Winter. Terrence Winter didn't do the Penguin series. He didn't end up doing the Penguin series, so maybe Terrence Winter from Boardwalk Empire or something like that would be great for just a detective, like hard gumshoe noir thing but set in the DCU.
I like that, man.
In the Question, figuring out some crazy stuff that's happening behind the scenes and uncovering some big plot.
2 quick notes from the comments. One, I do love the Ryan Reflects brings up the Marvel Studios special presentation format. I would like DC to bring in something like that for these kind of one-off things. I think that's perfect for their Elseworlds.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Vision anyway.
That'd be really cool.
And then 2, I found the other metal fans. Yes, thank you, Max von Strucker and Brywood. I'm always getting shouted down on metal here, and it's nice to see some support.
Wait, you guys want?
Yeah, baby.
The
metal.
All right.
Love it.
Time as any to take a break. When we come back, we are getting into those first Black Panther Wakanda Forever reactions and getting ourselves emotionally prepared. We're going to talk about some new TV shows that dropped in this week and give you some quick reacts to some new trailers that came out that everybody's talking about. So stay tuned for more Comic Book Nation and subscribe on YouTube and Apple Podcasts if you haven't already. Welcome back to Comic Book Nation, the only show that does it all for geek culture and the official podcast show of Comicbook.com. We just had a fun interview with the creators of the Alliance universe, and we just talked about the changing situations at the now titled DC Studios with James Gunn. But the biggest news of this week is, no doubt, as our image by Peter back here clearly shows, is Black Panther Wakanda Forever. So, Black Panther Wakanda Forever held its big premiere, and, we might be the official podcast of comicbook.com, but we don't get to do fancy things like go to premieres. They know better than to let us out for that kind of stuff. But we sent some people from Comic Book to the Black Panther 2 premiere. Phase Zero hosts Brandon Davis and Aaron Perrine were out there in some velvet suits. If you want to live through that whole thing of their velvet suiting, you can do that. They do. I mean, they both look good. Aaron brought the colors. I mean, I was stunned. I can't hate on that, man. Yeah, the fashion was on point. Comic book fashion. We should do our no show. We should do a whole other show about this. But we have some first reactions for Black Panther Wakanda Forever now and I believe we have a graphic that kind of pulls up what Brandon and Aaron both had to say and their instant reactions. Look at that, the production values. So Brandon, David, or let's start with Aaron. Aaron said that Black Panther Wakanda Forever is an emotional journey and well worth the wait, and he really loved the movie. Brandon said that Black Panther is epic, and especially in scope. He also highlighted Tenoch Huerta as Namor as one of the better villains, and that word has gotten him in some hot water, but I think he meant antagonists the MCU has had to offer. And he says, and he admits that emotions are heavy. Ryan Coogler ups his game on the action. It's a lot to take in. It's a lot to balance, and it is powerfully good. So both of them have a lot more in their respective Twitter threads, which you can check out. We'll be posting them in our article with this episode. We'll post links to their Twitter kind of reactions so you can read them in full. But they kind of nailed the consensus that we've heard. At the same time, this is a Marvel movie, and so not all of it has been shining. Some of people have said that they were kind of underwhelmed by Black Panther Wakanda Forever, or there was too much Marvel in it. These are not new criticisms. We've heard them before. My question to you and Matt, what are you showing me here? What is happening? Is there something happening live?
Oh, Venom 3 director. Yeah.
Wait, what? Breaking news? Oh, breaking news. Oh, man.
I was trying to be sly about it.
Yeah, we got breaking news. Venom 3 has a director. If you don't know, we sometimes get hit with breaking news in the middle of one thing, so we don't have to stop anything, but we're just going to say that Kelly Marcel is going to be directing Black Adam.
Black Adam 2.
Is going to be directing Venom 3.
Oh, boo.
I
was so pumped for Black Adam.
All right, I'm trying to figure out who Kelly Marcel is and what she's directed before. I can't remember off the top of my head. This is the fun of breaking news on this show. Okay, so as we're saying this and we're going to figure out this whole Venom 3 thing, I think the basic point is
we're getting a Venom 3.
Yeah, we're getting a Venom 3. Okay, so she did Saving Mr. Banks and 50 Shades of Grey. She also did Terra Nova, the TV series Terra Nova.
Never watched it. I wanted to, but I never watched it.
And she was a screenplay writer and executive producer of the original Venom before taking over as director of Venom 3.
So she's already in.
Yeah, she's in the franchise, and she and Tom Hardy are going to be working on this together.
I loved Saving Mr. Banks.
And so it just looks like they're keeping it in the family.
Janelle, did you ever see Saving Mr. Banks?
Oh, yes. And that was spectacular.
Great movie.
Yeah,
Saving Mr. Banks is a great
so
movie.
good.
I thought it should have won that year. I campaigned, but it did. I campaigned really hard for that, but I didn't.
So that's cool. What do you feel about Venom 3? You loved Venom 2, didn't you?
No, she wrote Saving Mr. Banks. Let's just be clear about that. I don't want to confuse things.
Yeah, I liked Venom 2, but I was also drinking a very strong IPA. It was like my first time back in a theater. I was with my girlfriend, and we were just like, it was just fun. I just had a good time. Sometimes I feel like some films don't have to be taken so seriously, right? Like it's not on the same level as, the latest Spider-Man, but it's just fun. Like go have a good time with your friends, have a beer if you like to partake in alcoholic beverages, and enjoy enjoy the film and just enjoy it. And that's what I did. I just kicked back, relaxed. I didn't get too critical. And like that's what Venom is for me right now. Who knows? They could up the ante and we'll see where it goes. But I just have a good time with it. I love Venom. I think Venom's freaking cool. It's one of the only guys that I remember from like my childhood playing with toys that I was like, oh, I'm Venom. Like I like Venom because he's creepy and weird.
Can we?
Yeah.
Thank you. Got it.
Janelle needs to do the Venom voice more often. I feel like that.
I can't, no, that was Batman. I'm vengeance.
Yeah, I do Venom. Me and
My
son.
Venom is Groot and Batman together.
I'm currently stuck in constant fights where my son is Spider-Man and I am Venom.
Nice.
I love that.
Black bathrobe and
I got a mean flip sound, man.
got my bathrobe ties or my little symbiote tendrils. Yeah. It's really cool house. So it's also being reported that this is going to be the final, and this might be the bigger thing. This is the final Venom film that Tom Hardy is doing, reportedly. So take that how you will, because that's an interesting prospect when you're kind of beginning to weigh, what's going on. Because Marvel, of course, ended Spider-Man No Way Home with having Tom Hardy's Venom show up just to poop a little symbiote and leave it in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and then depart.
Mm-hmm.
And so now hearing this could be the final Venom film kind of raises some interesting questions. This is the last in the solo Venom series before we get to some bigger thing. Is this the last for Tom Hardy's Venom? Is he done after this? Because maybe Marvel's going to be taking this character on a ride. Like, what are we doing here? So this is kind of it's kind of crazy.
That's I am no, real quick. Happy birthday, Junon Foster. Did I get the name right? I hope I did. Happy birthday. Awesome. I love to shout out some birthdays on here. But I am, that either means, to me, I would take the final film as we're either going to go all in and do a No Way Home, let's do the Spidey Venom thing now because he's gone, or this is the last movie because they want to do a more woven together thing with them, and Hardy doesn't maybe want to do that, so let's end his kind of trilogy. Let's send him out with like that and like kind of end his arc there, and then bring someone else in and then kind of launch into our Spidey Venom madness, right? I would feel like that's one of those two is in the cards if this is, because otherwise why do you say it's going to be the final one?
Yeah.
Like that, to me, that means there either something is in the works moving forward and you kind of want to close this chapter, or you're going to go all out and make this an extravaganza.
Mm-hmm.
An extravaganza.
So I don't know. That's
that's interesting breaking news right there.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, that's some good. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate that.
Thanks,
so let's get back. I know this is awkward. Sorry, man. It's so disrespectful to Chadwick. I'm sorry, man. Let's get back to Black Panther 2 reactions. So yeah, people have been saying it. Do you guys feel, have you guys looked personally at, we read our reactions from Comicbook.com and Phase Zero's own Brandon Davis and Aaron Perrine, but have you guys kind of crowdsourced the larger reaction pool and seen things? And how do you guys feel overall about the kind of consensus about this film? Do you think, because there are high demands on this above any other film in Phase 4 by far, to kind of deliver something not just popcorn spectacle, but something powerful and emotional and cathartic. Do you think it sounds like we're getting that, or are you guys a little nervous after these wave of reactions?
Well, I'm looking at, so a good friend to comicbook.com is Soups. He's a, entertainment coverage guy. He was out at the event. And one of the things that really stood out for me in his reaction was how super pumped he was right out of the gate. And then how when he started to make his content reviews, he's like, but there are some criticisms and there are some, and so it was kind of backtracked a little bit. He actually rated it in his Phase 4 ranking. He gave it number 3 behind No Way Home and Shang-Chi. So I'm shocked that is number 3 for him. That's above Thor. That's above Multiverse of Madness.
Hard week, and I wasn't going to put him out here, but yeah, he was the person who took the most heat for having the first pronounced negative review of Black Panther.
Yeah. So I feel like I wonder if it's this moment of when you're in this room and you're watching this film, it just is so compelling, and it
Yeah.
kind of just, you're just so wrapped up in it. And then maybe once you leave, you're going to start thinking digging a little deeper, thinking a little harder, getting a little more critical. I feel like that's kind of how I've noticed several of the people that attended the premiere kind of handling it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I was actually surprised by the amount of, not negativity, but the amount of criticisms that I saw in those initial things, like in those initial reactions to things, especially from like, it
Really
felt
positive people.
really positive people. And also it's like the premiere, like everyone's so amped up, right? It's a atmosphere. And I think what might end up happening in a different way is what happened with Thor. I feel Love and Thunder, everyone was just like over the moon about when they first came out. And then when the movie kind of like, as the weeks went on and the movie came out and people started to see it, those same people were kind of like, if you talk to them after the fact, they're like, I had some issues with the movie. Like it kind of was one of those things, like if you're in the atmosphere and you're in that moment with everybody else, you're like loving it and everyone's feeling the vibe. And then after the fact, you start to like, the cracks start to really show themselves. Here, like Janelle's saying, this isn't just a movie for like a lot of fans. This is
It's a
like
movement.
It's because first Black Panther did so much.
Yeah.
And then also too, just the personal tragedy that's involved in this, right? That it is a memorial in a lot of ways. So yeah, I can totally understand you getting swept up in those things as well as the movie. And then later on, as you have a chance to kind of step away and just look at the movie, yeah, I can see that kind of like, well, did I love like what they did with this character? When those kind of things start to be the focus and not everything else that surrounds it, maybe you don't love it as much as a movie. And yeah, it might, fall in some rankings. I have been very happy with the stuff I've been seeing about Namor.
Yeah.
And I hope he is not a villain, because that's not part of what makes him compelling. Typically when he's used as a full-on villain, he's very one note and forgettable in my opinion. So when he's more of a ruler and he's looked at as, he's not conflicted, but he just has his kingdom's wants and needs at heart, and the surface world a lot of times just craps all over them. So like he's always like, that's his main thing. And also he's kind of a haughty, kind of ego. He has an ego, so like some of that gets warmed in. But like when he's a full-on just a villain, I hope he's not. I hope he is kind of just an antagonist in this part. Like they're butting heads over something. And I hope that is made clear.
I mean, there are rumors out, and we're not going to get into any spoilers or rumors or leaks or anything, but yeah, I mean, it is kind of rumor. I mean, and we've all suspected this because it's been in comics that there could be other forces at work to set these two nations against each other. And maybe Namor isn't quite a villain so much as, like you said, a king who's just doing what he wants to do for his people.
Yeah.
And I think and I've always thought there's going to be an interesting thing about this, about like what makes a king, and possibly, a dead T'Challa somehow teaching a live Namor, lessons that transform him as a character going forward. Yeah. So I've heard good things about Namor. I've also heard good things about Riri Williams. And
buddy.
Dominique Thorne, the actress, and her kind of debut in this as kind of being able to. And we've seen clips that are out with her kind of holding the screen with Denai Guerrera and Letitia Wright. And so, she's coming in.
We get Riri in the movie and Riri on the soundtrack.
I know. I keep thinking people are talking about Rihanna. Whenever they say Riri, because of the overlap there.
Get a dose of Riri,
yeah, man.
That track is Making People Float. I was just writing about that coming in here. Lift Me Up, Rihanna song now out. So I mean, and then even in the comments we have people saying, I think Namor's going to hit, and like we always said, like I think it's going to strike a chord with the kind of Latino community, especially kind of getting this hero and representation of Aztec culture. So I'm kind of really curious to see, but we got something coming in. What was that?
No, I'm cutting something.
Oh, you cutting something? Okay.
I already know I'm going to love this, by the way. Like, this is so me. I can tell by all of it that it's just, I'm going to eat this up. So any negative things are probably not going to come from this person.
All right. Well, let's go. We got a lot to do. We have our show as usual is overpacked. Real quick reactions. We're not the Marvel show. We have a Marvel show, Phase Zero, where they broke this stuff down. But quick reactions. How did you guys feel about the Ant-Man 3 trailer, Matt?
It was fine.
Okay, all right. Then
fine.
I'm coming out too. It was just fine for me.
It was fine.
It was fine for me. I wrote an article that people were mad about, but it was fair to ask. But that Superman news that same day kind of killed the Ant-Man trailer, and this was just okay for me. It's still Marvel. I mean, and I think this could end up being better than Black Adam, but I still think that like Black Adam visually just has made me tired of the grand Marvel green screen kind of standing in front of green screens with, epic CGI depth to them, and there's a lot of that in this trailer. But I will say I am very curious because I think this part that we're watching now with Cassie Lang setting off a beacon in the quantum realm could be an event that is much bigger than this movie. It obviously alerts Kang or whoever's down there. Some people are theorizing this could be the event that helps the Fantastic Four get back from wherever they were. That beacon could be the kind of key, if whether they were somewhere else or are actually held by Kang down here. This could be the event that helps them come back. So there's a lot that I think is going to come out of this movie. But in and of itself, it just feels like another strange journey into mystery type deal that we've seen, like Fantastic Voyage or something going into side of a body. Yeah, we're going into a miniature universe, and it's just okay to me. But I'm excited to see Jonathan Majors as Kang and learn what secrets there are and see how they're going to finally open up the quantum realm from the first Ant-Man that we've been waiting on to see what this place is really all about.
Janelle, I need you to bring the hype here.
Well, I just don't understand what else do you expect it to be than a green screen, like big Marvel film, because like we already have a non-green screen like existence with like She-Hulk and like stuff like that. But like this is Ant-Man and he gets tiny. So like how else? I mean, what else could it be? It can't be like a drama.
Let's be accurate here. Like this is not the trailer they showed at Comic-Con. The trailer they showed at Comic-Con was cut much differently. It was much different and had like a lot more focus on Kang and asking Scott Lang, "Are you an Avenger? Have I killed you before?" Like all these kind of menacing things. So it was a little different than what
like spooky, or like more at risk, like right, like the stakes felt higher.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit kind of scarier, and I think you can find it online. But I
hear that. I hear that.
Don't dislike the movie. I think it was just the particular cut of the trailer making it more of a.
This just feels more family oriented. Like it feels like something that you can take your kids to and go see together in the theater. Nobody's going to be scared out of their minds, which is fine. Like there's a place for that. Like this, I'm glad that it exists. Like we need diversity across all of our projects that we're getting from the MCU. But for me, I felt the hype like crazy. I was excited, but Ant-Man is also, I love it. I love Ant-Man. So I might be biased in that. I might just be like, oh my gosh, anything you're dishing out from Ant-Man, I'm so excited about. And
no, go ahead. No, go ahead.
It was just awesome. It was just, for me, so fun. I loved the visuals of this other world. I thought it looked really, really cool and well done. And I mean, it's Marvel, and they always do such a great job. So I'm not even nervous about this. I feel like it's gonna be badass. Yes.
Let's address. There is a big thing coming out of this trailer, which is a theory about the rings that are around Kang's kind of armada and city, Chronopolis, which I assume that's Chronopolis, and how they match the designs of Shang-Chi's 10 rings and the bangles in Miss Marvel. And so there is a popular theory that these are all big power items that have been kind of floated through Phase 4. And I think so. And I think these rings are the technology that allows Kang to kind of move through realities, time, and things without him or his army being affected.
Yeah.
And I think whatever their connection to them is explained, however it's explained, I think these are going to be the things that are given to people who will be able to protect those who survive into secret wars. Right? Because theoretically, Shang-Chi should be able to maybe use the rings while Kamala can use her bangles to whatever incursion event thing to maybe be the life raft that kind of gets them to secret wars, is my theory.
Wow.
Take it how you will.
Damn.
And so those characters will be with other characters, and the ones they're with, the ones they protect, will be the ones who don't get erased.
Okay, so I will I think that was I think you two have way more to like share, like insight to share and stuff about this trailer. I just thought it was I the reason you were hyped for this movie, probably would it be safe to say, is Kane?
Yeah.
Okay, that is the reason I'm not.
And the sheer amount of helmets that I counted at least 5 helmets in this.
There are a lot of helmets.
Four for the Pym Lang family, 1 for Kang. That's a lot of helmets.
There are a lot of helmets.
There's a reason to be happy about this.
I just can't. I've said this a couple like before, right? It's no secret. Kang does not excite me as a villain, and I'm not exactly like over the moon that he is like the next, like the big overarching thing. So Jonathan Majors is amazing. He's gonna kill it as the role, but I'm just saying, like, as a character and a concept and everything, I just don't care about Kang. So like the fact that to me, like, that this is going to play so heavily into that. And I agree with Kofi on the part of like the trailer. I was excited to see the one from Comic-Con because of the things they talked about and played up of, like, you know, I feel like those comments. And this wasn't exactly what that was, but I still enjoyed it and stuff. So it was fine. But yeah, Kang is just not my thing.
6. If MODOK technically has a helmet.
There's a lot of helmets. Helmets are great. They didn't save this trailer for me. But it's fine. It's fine.
All right, let's go on real quick. And I mean real quick. That was not quick.
Yeah, that was not quick.
I didn't know we were gonna all have so many thoughts. All right.
You go quick and then you take 10 minutes.
What about Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas trailer? I think it's gonna be funny, special presentation, another great one. And the fact that they're taking it so meta as having Kevin Bacon in it is amazing. The fact that Kevin Bacon's coming in and doing this is amazing.
Yeah,
he's been on a tear, a really good tear lately. And yeah, that's amazing. And it's gonna be just great, feel good holiday special stuff that, you know, our new DC head has put together for us as a Christmas present. So it's going to be awesome. And just, seeing kind of Drax and Mantis out in the real, actual Earth world I would watch a series of that on its own, just on its own. But this looks like a feel good time. So I'm in.
Yeah. Janelle?
Yeah, I think we're all in. I mean, I'm obsessed with anything Christmassy. Like, I was tweeting about, now that I have Hawkeye Christmas and now I have this, I'm just like, I don't have to watch the same, 3 Christmas movies to get into the spirit. Like, I'm finally getting like my kind of Christmas content, and I'm so excited about it.
Yeah, I'm still gonna watch White Christmas because I adore that movie. It's one of my favorite Christmas of all time. However, I'm with you guys. I ate this up with a spoon, man. This is fun. This is Christmassy. I'm in. Anissa's been me and her have been just waiting for November 1st so we can put up our decorations like we were there.
Yes.
It's amazing. I am happy. That's it.
Yeah, all right. Yes. So it's Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. We are in. Quick, we're moving over to TV, and 2 new things dropped that we just wanted to talk about with you guys and put on your radar. The first is Amazon's Peripheral, which was only on my peripheral before it debuted. And then, weirdly enough, on Comicbook, we started having this major spike with just our peripheral page, because I guess people were looking for anything about it. Mm-hmm. And we don't have anything, but like we had a whole database page created for it that began to like jump up in interest. So we're checking out this thing. When Chloe Moretz started tweeting about gaming and asking for gaming advice, I couldn't tell why. I just responded because it's Chloe Moretz, but I didn't understand. Until I watched this series, which is based on, I believe, a book series, but is kind of about this future. Look, I'm just going to say, I can't even explain Peripheral. It's very hard. But I think what people are kind of embracing is just how weirdly eclectic this this series is, mm-hmm. but how it works. Mm-hmm. I mean, heavy Southern characters with these thick accents, one's like a master Marine tactician, one's like a incredible gamer in this kind of advanced VR gaming thing. There's a whole premise about using VR gaming to send yourself to a body in the future. And a conspiracy taking place over 2 time periods. It's wild, man. But it somehow works, and it's very enjoyable. Like, I was sucked into these first 2 episodes deeper than I ever thought. And I was just like, even at times when I was like, what is going on? Like, this is crazy. And I have to rewind some of these scenes sometimes to make sure, like, and what's going on, because it is from the creators of Westworld. But yeah, Peripheral so far has really just kind of hooked me in. Chloe Grace Moretz is great. This whole cast, Jack, what's his name? Oh, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name, from Midsummer. And yeah, but he's great too.
Brother. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just all really good. And Amazon is just quietly like killing it, like with picking really great kind of series, plug-in from, you know, the sides of genre that some of the mainstream people don't look at, and getting these kinds of things going. So we're here just to say I'm recommending you guys check it out. I'm curious to hear what my co-hosts have to say.
This is totally up my alley, like on another level. It has the gaming, it's sci-fi, it's Westworldy, but not at all. It's can I just say, this show is single-handedly making country cool again, because these people are, because I personally am like, whenever I hear like a country accent, I'm like, oh God, this is not for me. And I'm like, no, wait, I can relate to these people. Like, this is really cool. And I don't hate my state that I live in as much.
Oh my God.
So I said, so it subverts a lot of what you think you're going to see with these characters. Like, you hear them with these thick, almost like redneck country.
Mhm.
They're both really smart. They're both really talented.
Intelligent, serve
together,
country. Yeah.
themselves kind of, because their mom has issues. And and their level of just skills and what they're doing. And even their reactions to the first episode, like when there's this thing in the first episode, not a spoiler, where there's a major kind of confrontation that in any other show, you'd be like, oh my God, like these people are going to get slaughtered. There's going to be this big dramatic shootout. There's going to be a lot of death. And it's like, no, these characters are like, oh, this is happening. Ooh, they shouldn't have done that. And they like flip the tables, and you're like, these people can handle themselves. And it's an interesting story. So
yeah.
You can see Peripheral, like, I've been excited. Episode 3 I'm watching now, and it's just getting even deeper in the lore about like who the characters are, how wonderfully complex they are, and like what's going on.
I watched the trailer. I will give it a chance just based on the trailer, and also I will pretty much watch anything Chloe Moretz is in. So I will
you have to keep watching to understand what is happening, though. I must say, like, they don't just like explain you everything, like what it all means and why it is this way in episode 1. Like, I am still asking so many questions of like what is happening, and I'm almost done with episode 3. So I would definitely at least watch 2 episodes before you judge.
I can do that.
All right, the other thing we're going to talk about is for the Star Wars fans, real quick.
Oh, yeah.
We had the new anthology series, Tales of the Jedi, drop this week, which was a pleasant surprise for me. I knew this was coming, and I knew that its first installment would center around Count Dooku and Ahsoka Tano, and I thought, telling these fun little kind of backstories about all of them, both of them. I did not expect Star Wars to kind of She-Hulk this again and like work in many kind of important franchise things to reference, especially for like us in the hardcore franchise, which I'm going to write about this, but it's a weird week for Star Wars. It really is, because this week has kind of like shown there, like this divide the franchise can't get over between like mainstream stuff and non-mainstream stuff. Like, you have people raving this week about Andor and Tales of the Jedi, but it's like, they're not making a blip, not a mainstream blip, but you get Yoda in a show, or you bring back franchise characters, and then everybody's a Star Wars, fan every week and like has all these insights. So it's really weird because the franchise is doing some really great things, but again, they can never get past this thing, and it's unique to this franchise. Like, oh, I'm never going to watch this animated series, or I'm never going to watch this thing about like Andor that doesn't have lightsabers and stuff. Like, I don't care. Like, and Star Wars can uniquely not get over this. But I'm going to keep stumping and tell you that Star Wars animation does do it well. And Tales of the Jedi was highly entertaining. Like, each of these stories had meaning to the larger franchise. Some of them revealed key pieces of lore that have been missing since, for 20 years now, since the prequels. And I just thought it was another good experiment, just like the anime shorts were. I thought this was just a great way to kind of keep doing more to expand Star Wars in these kind of very effective ways. But I don't need to be sold on this. My bias is clear. What did you guys think?
I did not get to watch it.
Okay,
same. Cool. And this is exactly what you're talking about, Kofi. Like, we're not.
There we go. Yeah. I can't even get it in my own show. so I'm just out. Feel like I'm talking to Joker in that Batman scene.
I chose Chainsaw Man.
Does it ever make
you did sell me on Chainsaw Man, though, I will say.
See, you sold, like, Chainsaw Man rules.
And I agree. Chris Chipperson Yaddle was a straight G. She went out like a G. She was a G. And there was a lot of G work in this. Ahsoka is a G. She can handle herself in 3 moves, no blade. So people don't know what we're saying. And, yeah, if you want to comment or call me out, I know. We were supposed to do this whole kind of fantasy look back episode about Hot D and Rings of Power this week.
Oh yeah, we were.
And
Gosh.
yeah,
So much
happened. That
Yay! We're finally getting content, guys.
happened. But yeah, no, we do have to talk about this. We do kind of have to go back maybe next week and talk about the ending of Hot D, House of the Dragon, and Rings of Power, and how both series kind of are sitting with us now. Maybe we'll do come kind of like ranking or something like that. Fun. We'll figure it out. We have thoughts. We have
thoughts.
Just not enough time. The show could easily be 2 hours.
Yeah,
The powers
really
don't believe it, but it could easily be 2 hours. So we'll talk about all of that. But we got to get out of here. And Matt, I know there's a lot of stuff we got to get to in your corner before we do. So let's throw it over to you.
Oh, all right, cool. Yeah. Also, yeah, check out Chainsaw Man.
Sorry. Chainsaw Man and My Hero Academia right now are both killing it on the anime front. They're both on Hulu or Crunchyroll. And Andor you guys are failing Andor, man. It's so good. Andor really is good. So good. Check out Andor.
I wonder why that one's
People don't think it's a character worth exploring, and there's no lightsabers. There's literally nothing.
Look, I didn't think this was a character I want, not worth exploring, but wasn't interested. And then this show turned me around. But I'm just, if you are watching, I'd be curious to see like if it's more people are falling off, or just people aren't giving it a chance at all.
I think we did a report on this. The internal show that it's actually retaining really well.
Okay.
And it's going upwards in slow, but like this show, it goes upwards in slow trends, but steadily as people say, okay, this is quality. I want to keep watching it. It's also the challenge that Andor doesn't give. It's not a Twitter show. Like there's so much and layers to it that people can't go on and be like, here's my thoughts on Andor spoilers.
Or did you see the big thing that happened on
look
Andor?
at the GIF I made. Like, nobody cares. Like,
not that way. Not that way.
Yeah, not in that way. It actually makes you think and write and do stuff.
I don't know. Granted, Rings of Power wasn't that either until last couple of episodes.
But no, Rings of Power was, but just for the wrong reasons always. So anyway,
lots of good stuff there. So let's talk comics. We're gonna start with Action Comics 1048. I love that we're talking about Superman.
It's been good.
Kal-El Returns Part 3. We've been covering the other parts here, so trying to keep it all sequential together.
I've been reading it, but I've also been secretly mad that you've managed to sneak like Superman back into
my rotation. Why?
Just because I try to keep your agenda at a fixed point.
I saw a jumping on point, and I stuck it in here. Plus, it feels like with Henry back in the mix, right? It's perfect time. Perfect time to talk Superman.
It is. You are correct.
Ironically, this, again, what I feel like these last 3 issues, and this one very much so, have done is actually not, like, yes, Superman is a focus, but it's really done wonders for Metallo and Lex. And, like, those are really, to me, the most interesting characters in this issue. There is some larger Superfan family stuff that happens, which I really enjoy kind of seeing them interact and how the world is kind of dealing with this, big former war world here. We also get to some very lovely, look, anytime Bibbo shows up, I'm a sucker for Bibbo, man.
I love Bibbo.
That reaches back to like my, when I first discovered Superman and stuff, and those comics, he was such a big part. So yeah, I love
a random character, but so awesome.
And he's so ridiculous in some ways.
Like Superman has an in-universe Stan who's like a big bro.
But now he's part of the family, and it's so good. And I love too that like there's some people talk about like Superman, one of those kind of comic complaints is like, they don't get like Batman has so many moments where you're like, he's just such a badass. Batman just has that Batman moment. And Superman doesn't always have those moments, but when he does, and like here, there's there's a moment of he's like, yeah, that's happening over my dead body. And he's so freaking cool there. And like, he's going to defend these kids, and these kids are like, there might be something, a threat, kind of this latent power and stuff. I also just always love seeing him just punch Orion. I don't hate that character, but that character could come across as such a jerk 90% of the time that it's very nice to see him decked out. So there's some great moments here, but Metallo and Lex, like those moments just hit you. And I did not expect that coming into this, to be just riveted by this side plot that is really going to become a bigger focal point. But what do you guys think?
I think that you kind of touched on, and I was just kind of refreshing my memory here, but I think you touched on something that has been long over maybe overlooked. I think people have been so obsessed about how to get Superman back and make him exciting in a modern age that we forget sometimes these heroes aren't just themselves, and you need to kind of make their world interesting. Yeah. And I think what this particular story arc has done is, like you said, it's, yes, Superman's there, but it's also taken time to build out a world around him and new kind of focuses that are very interesting when he's not on, not screen, but on panel or on page. Like you said, the whole thing with Lex kind of seducing Metallo and taking time over 3 issues to develop these things. It's not comic booky. It's actual more dramatic depth storytelling with who these characters are, why are they going through these emotions. It's more Tony Gilroy, frankly. Like, why are they making the choices they make and kind of getting you there. And that works so that Superman is kind of reframed as what he should be, which is almost this larger than character kind of icon. And whether it's an icon to John as the loving father, or to the world as this hero, or to like the bad people of the universe as this kind of, unstoppable threat, or just in this case, a guy whose will is, immovable. He tells, Orion of all people, like, no. And how many people can do that?
Yeah, exactly.
And when Superman says it and stands there, like, what do you do? Like, you cannot do him. And so, like, that understanding that's who the character is, like a force of will, an icon, that kind of larger than life stuff, I think they're doing a very good job with.
Yeah, Janelle, what do you think?
I'll be quick. There's a lot going on that I don't know. Like, I don't know certain people, and it's just, there's a lot. It's a lot. And I wish I had a little bit more context and understood what was happening first.
Yeah, no, I get that. And also, like is mentioned in the comics, like for like the Fourth World group of characters, they actually haven't been featured in the last 2 issues, and that's kind of where we jumped on. So like that, they kind of come in and you're kind of like, oh, I was even surprised. I was like, oh, hey, like that's and stuff. But I can totally see that. But has it made you curious to stay on?
Yeah, I mean, yes, but there's so many good comics that it's really easy to just move on and read something else. Yeah.
Not for me. I want to actually see the fight with Superman and a bunch of new gods. Like, I do want to see that. That's a fight worth seeing for me. But I love new god stuff. So
Okay, so we move on to a little Marvel, and we move to Exterminators #2, which a series that took us all by surprise, I think, in the first issue. Just this, and this issue is more of what I loved about the first one. It's a little different in how it like approaches some of that stuff, but it's still just absurdly fun. I mean, this is Jubilee, Boom Boom, Laura Kinney, Wolverine, and Dazzler, all just, in this kind of still trying to sort out this mystery. We have vampires in the mix. I just adore this because we now know that Jubilee is a WWE fan, which makes me so happy. That is amazing, and I should probably write about that. I just love this issue, just how fun it is. I think this is actually probably my favorite newer X book. I've liked parts of Red. I liked parts of like there's been some good stuff in a lot of the X-Men books, but I'm pretty sure this is my favorite of that newest wave. Are we in Reign still? Are we in Reign of X, Dawn of X? I can't remember which one we're in, but whatever that era is,
I think we're on to like something like
this is my favorite of that newer run. What would you guys think?
Or something. I don't know who greenlit this book. I don't know who greenlit this book, or like what they were on when the night somebody came with a perfect pitch. They must have caught them like at a restaurant, like 2 bottles of wine in. But whoever did it and however they convinced them, like, good on them, because this book is wild. Like, every time I open it up and just start reading, I'm like, this is wild. From the moment it has a disclaimer warning in the beginning about how violent and for adults only it is, to just this all-female X squad in this kind of satirical thing in this incredibly dark horror kind of setting. It just works. It's crazy. It is crazy how well this works. Like, hearing Jubilee and Boom Boom go at it over like fashion choices in the middle of a mirror thing where their evil selves are beating the crap out of them out of mirrors and stuff. Like, just that sentence alone is like comic books in a nutshell, but this works. And I love this series. And I love seeing these 4 characters together. What I never would have picked out. Never. I wouldn't even put two of them together, probably. Like,
It's so good.
and it's so good, and it's so funny, and a little bit sexy. So I'm in.
Yes, very sexy. I'm so loving Dazzler. That she's my new girl. And just the whole crew though. It's like a girl group gone crazy. It's just really cool. This is nuts, and it may not always make sense in my mind, and I don't know exactly what's happening, but I'm here for it.
I need to know there's a Nashville bachelor party going down like this weekend.
I do hope this continues to be something that, even if this season or this series kind of comes to a close or whatever, I want to see these characters move on to something. I want an ongoing that just keeps going, because this is great. This is fantastic.
Yeah, they should be their own squad. They're hilarious.
And as Brightwood brings up before we head out, Captain Marvel's next arc will have some mutants in the mix. So Janelle, we will get some mutants in there, and maybe this can be the thing. We start to sway. The love of mutants
that
for Janelle.
Yeah.
That does
You're
it.
growing on me.
So also real quick mention, because we didn't do a poll this week because we just had so much to cover. But Beyond the White Knight #6 came out, and oh my God, this is so good. The series is just amazing. If you love the White Knight universe's version of Harley Quinn, like I do, you're gonna absolutely want to read this issue. The stuff between her and Bruce is amazing. Nightwing has been a jerk for a while in the White Knight universe, and finally we start to see stuff move. There's some amazing conversation happening with him and Bruce. Oh, the series is just chef's kiss, man. This is amazing. So so definitely check that out. But that's comics.
All right. Oh, I think we've done enough. I think we've done the thing this week, right? Thank you for tuning in to Comic Book Nation, the only show that does it all for geek culture, and the official podcast show of comicbook.com. As I said at the break, if you're just getting into our show, and it seems lately, like in the last couple of weeks, we've had more and more new people jumping on. So be sure to subscribe on YouTube to our YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. We're on all the major ones. You can also catch us multiple times a week on the Mixable live channel of Paramount Plus. So check us out on Mixable. And just hit us up on Twitter if you want to talk, chat, get some updates, debate things from the show with us. You can find me at Kofi Outlaw.
You can find me at Matt Aguilar CB.
You can find me at Janelle Wheeler.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in with us, and we will see you next week. No, it's not Black Panther next week, is it? No, it's the week after. Okay, so no. We will be 2 weeks to Black Panther, but we will be back next week, and maybe we'll do some fun stuff, like getting back, catching up on some of this fantasy and all that stuff. And we got wrestling, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, so we'll shift next week. It'll be a fantasy, wrestling, all this other stuff, and who knows what happens in Marvel DC. So stay tuned. We're Comic Book Nation. Peace.
Bye, guys.
Be slapped.